Good afternoon, everyone. I am going to give it one additional minute before we get started. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carrie Thompson. I am the Parent Training and Information Project Coordinator at the Parent Information Center. Thank you for joining our report card versus progress monitoring webinar today. For us to understand progress monitoring, we need to understand what we are monitoring and how we get to our IEP goals to monitor them. So in this webinar, I'll be explaining how we get to our IEP goals, how we monitor these goals, and how it's different from the report card. So let's get started. The Parent Information Center of Delaware is turning 40. We are a statewide nonprofit organization that provides tools for parents, caregivers, and advocates of children to secure appropriate education and related services. Our mission is to improve health and educational outcomes for children and youth by empowering them, their families, and the professionals who serve them. We inform, educate, and advocate. We support families as early as prenatal through post-high school and adulthood. We do this by one-on-one consultations. If you're having a problem or have questions with your child's education, parents or caregivers can call our office to schedule a consultation. Learning opportunities such as this one. We have information on our website. We do outreach to children and families with all disabilities, and we work on system advocacy to ensure that the interest of children with disabilities and special healthcare needs are considered at both local and national levels. Here are today's learning objectives. We will learn how to know if your child is making progress on their IEP goals. And we will understand progress monitoring, progress reports, and how they are different from report cards. Who receives a progress report? A child with an individual education program, an IEP. What is a progress report? A report of progress on each IEP goal. The method and the frequency of this reporting are documented on the student's IEP. It's normal for parents to want to see a fast progression, but it's important to remember that your child's IEP goals are an annual goal. The progression reports will be sent home a few times during the school year, showing how your child is progressing towards their IEP annual goal. So let's review some of the IEP basics. IEP is a written legal document to meet a child's unique educational needs. IEP is a layout of the program of special education instruction, support, accommodations, and modifications, and how the disability affects the child's educational performance. What is an IEP goal and how is it developed to monitor and provide reports? It will take me a few slides to answer this question, but first let's answer what an IEP goal is. Goals can cover several areas: academic, behavioral, functional, social, or other important skills for your child to master. The IEP team will discuss where your child is now in that skill or behavior. The team will include instructional goals that describe what your child is expected to accomplish within 1 year period of the IEP when provided with special education instruction and related services. To monitor your child's goal, each goal will have at least 2 short-term objectives or benchmarks. Objectives are steps leading to accomplishment of this goal. Benchmarks are a sign that shows the development of the skill or behavior. I'm going to break this down a little bit further in the next few steps, the next few slides here. Let's review IEP goals. IEP goals are set by using present level of educational performance, which is the level at which your child is working academically and functionally, your child's current instructional level. What is expected at your child's grade level? IEP goals includes what has your child already accomplished, what is the standard at your child's grade level. The goal must address the need and identified by collecting data. A measurable goal can be measured as written without additional information. It needs to describe how to measure whether the goal has been accomplished. It should allow calculations to measure progress. The goal must also fit long-term plans for the student, which the parent can help provide long-term view for the IEP to ensure goals are being built on from year to year. Present level of educational performance. This will include your child's learning strengths, weaknesses, and data from your child's evaluation. All of this information will be put together in a paragraph documenting the way your child's strengths can help him or her learn and overcome his weaknesses. It will include your child's learning strengths, such as, is your child a visual or auditory learner? Does your child have strengths in subjects such as science, social studies, reading, writing, math? Can his strengths enable better learning by using alternative teaching methods? Include your child's weaknesses, such as aspects of the classroom environment that interfere with your child's learning. Provide information about activities your child has difficulty performing or completing. Is it based on unique needs related to your child's disability? Must be current, accurate, measurable, and understandable. It is a baseline from which future progress will be measured. What is needed to develop an IEP goal? So this is, we're going to answer the second part to that earlier question. How is an IEP goal developed? This is what is needed to develop an IEP goal. Participation from an IEP team, which is the family, teachers, support staff, data collection, identification of the needs, a plan for addressing the needs, the present level of education performance, which we just spoke about, and a plan for progress monitoring. Collecting data and identifying the needs. What is data? Some examples of school-provided data include lesson and unit test, ongoing assessments and progress monitoring, standardized tests, curriculum-based assessments, teacher informal assessments. Home data includes parent-provided information, which may include medical notes, reports from other outside sources who work with your child, such as a tutor. Student-provided information can allow the student to give their own input into the development of their IEP. These are the most common academic data sources. There are other data sources as well, such as transition surveys, social skills, vocational, behavioral and social, emotional, ranking scales. All these types of data can be considered for an IEP. As a parent, if you have questions about the data, the language, or any part of the IEP, reach out to the school and ask your question. If you have questions about the assessment scores, you can also ask for the raw data. From this data, this is where the needs are identified. What are your child's strengths? What are your concerns? What are the academic and functional needs? What is the plan for addressing your child's needs? Your child may need many supportive services to make progress in the curriculum. What does your child need to reach his goal? In order to learn, to participate with other children. Special education related services, supplement aids, and services are provided to support that need. I went over what an IEP goal is, how we get our child and how we get our child's IEP goal. Now we're going to move into, we have this goal. How do I know if my child is making progress on their IEP goal? Progress monitoring is a process used to determine whether the instructional strategies and accommodations are working as intended. Typically involves administering short tests, 1 to 5 minutes or more, 1 or more times a week. When progress monitoring shows that a student is not making expected progress, instructional changes are needed. Monitoring progress benchmarks. Benchmarks should show progression from the present level of education performance to its annual goal. To evaluate services during the annual goal period. Benchmarks should show when benchmarks tend to align with the school marking period. For schools with 6 marking periods, there should be 6 benchmarks. What? Each benchmark shows some progression from measurable performances to annual goals. The benchmark must have a description of the child's progress towards meeting the annual goals. How well? The benchmark reports show whether the child is M, meeting the annual goals, S is making satisfactory progress to meet the goal, or N is not making sufficient progress to meet the annual goal. The performance report is in addition to the student's report card and should be provided to the parent for each benchmark or marking period. The parent can request to see the data, which forms the basics for the benchmark performance. Here's an example. The IEP goal states Jess will bring her materials when coming to class 80% of the time, as measured by daily tracking procedures. The first IEP progress report shows during the previous 2 weeks, Jess brought her materials 55% of the time. At this rate of progress, Jess is on track to accomplish the goal by the end of the IEP year. Here are benchmark examples. Note that the last benchmark and annual goal are the same. Unless the IEP timing falls within the middle of the marking period, this will be the case for most IEPs. If you do not agree with the report or think your child is not making meaningful progress, you can request an IEP meeting for the team to discuss your concerns or lack of progress. The IEP team may consider modifying special education or related services, the method of instruction, or maybe the educational setting, but worth discussing your concerns with the IEP team. Federal and state laws say that the IEP must identify how often your child's progress towards annual goals will be measured, how you will be informed of the progress, such as written progress reports, a school conference, or an IEP meeting, If the progress report is not given in writing, parents may want to send an email confirming the verbal information they received. If the amount of progress your child is making is likely to lead to accomplishment of the goal by the end of the school year. Now to the report card. What is a report card? A report card provides information about a child's progress across subject areas, such as math, reading, and science. Most report cards include sections on academic subjects, work habits, social skills, and other learning goals. I'm not going to go over too much more over the report cards because it's important to understand that what and where the IEP goals come from and how they are monitored, which makes it easier to see the difference between report cards and progress monitoring. It's also important to mention that report cards do not meet requirements for progress monitoring in an IEP. What if my child is not making progress? You can reach out to your child's teacher to discuss your concerns, and you can request an IEP meeting to discuss revisions to the child's IEP. Communication with the school is key. Reach out, ask your questions, be open to the information, understand your end goal, and know your rights. At PIC, we have fact sheets available that we can send out, that I will send out after this webinar. We have one fact sheet talking with your teacher, your child's teacher, as well as our IEP 504 team meeting planner. It helps organize your concerns when you do have an IEP meeting to attend. We have additional resources on our Parent Information Center webpage. PIC has offices throughout the state. We have 2 in Newcastle, 2 in Sussex County, and 1 in Kent County. I have my contact information on the side here if you have additional questions regarding progress monitoring or progress reports. That is it for our webinar for today. As I mentioned, if you do have some additional questions, feel free to reach out at any point. We do appreciate if you can complete this survey when you have a moment. It helps our program overall see how we can better support our parents. And I think that is it from my end. I'm going to open it up to see if there are any other questions. Which I don't think there are. And that is. So thank you very much for coming, and look out on our website for additional Lunch and Learn webinars.